What's up, Mr.
Ah,
Joe?
just enjoying the downtime, to be honest. Um,
Really? I don't have any.
relaxation. I just shut it down for a lot of it. I mean, I have obviously stuff going on. I'm building a couple of financial models and things like that, but I'm just kind of enjoying maybe it's the Twitter downtime that I'm referring to.
Yeah,
Um, just like kind of hiding out a little bit, over the
I know what
holidays.
you mean.
Yeah.
I'm getting double audio because I've got the iPad still running to see it. All right, well, whatever. It is. It is what it is. You're not getting
Well,
an
it
echo
sounds
on me, are you?
no, not at all.
So, markets chopping sideways. Big news of the day.
Yeah, I don't expect a lot. I was looking at even on the equity side, I mean, Dow's up, Nasdaq off a little bit, all less than a point. Europe was, modestly up half a point or so. Let's see, last night, I don't see any massive sell-offs in Asia or anything. I mean, no. So I think it's just kind of in a holding pattern, this week, with the U.S. holidays, New Year's, Christmas, Hanukkah, Boxing Day overseas, just tons of stuff going on. And I don't even know the
The
day
one
of the
thing I
Chinese
don't
Lunar
see
New Year, but that's coming
chopping
too.
sideways.
What's that, buddy?
Tesla
What's it doing?
down to $1.12. I
Wait, what?
mean, 112, not $1.12.
I was like, how did I not hear that?
Like, what the fuck?
You must have did like a, 100 for 1 stock split or something.
No,
Um, yeah, shit, 112. So what's the market cap right now?
they were
Is it still?
saying the key support was 125. People I know that follow Tesla pretty closely.
Yeah, I'm looking at, yeah, down to 388 billion. Um, yeah, that's like what? That's $612 billion in erosion since the Twitter
It's
takeover.
pretty bad.
Yeah, no, I saw an article, interestingly enough, yesterday about, the world, what they were Forbes was calling the world's richest family, or richest man in that family. Clearly was beaten out. These guys are worth like 300 billion or something. Was clearly just smoking Elon. So he's got to be fuming over there, right now. Because now all the ones that have been hiding that don't want the publicity are starting to somehow get outed, I guess. And
Yeah,
you're seeing there's a lot more heavy hitters out there than you know of, and they
it's
aren't on
true, man.
Twitter.
It's true. All right, let me
So
see what I got for news. Oh, I forgot to do screenshots. Well, here we go. Since I'm on my iPad, I can't do screen sharing, which I don't understand because this has an M1. I upgraded my iPad, via AT&T
mhm.
because I was up for an upgrade, and I still can't do screen sharing. I don't. I get it. I don't get it. It's crazy. Anyway,
Well, we could just talk to it.
yeah. So Craig Wright says he is no longer going to try to persuade the world that he is Satoshi.
Really? Oh, what a revelation.
In a
Um,
tweet, he said that he he's done trying to get the validation of the rest of the world. He is going to live his life for his family and himself, and he's no longer going to no longer going to fuck around with trying to convince people that he's the real deal. How long do you think that lasts?
well, I mean, I guess to me, I like the idea of spending more time with family and
Of
not giving a
course.
shit what other people think. But I mean, this guy's a psychotic or a psycho in so many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna get sued now.
Oh yeah, sorry, buddy. Give it your best shot. um, but you're right. He's such a self vanity project that I don't see how he's going to be able to. I look for him to make a major announcement at the end of the holidays. Um,
Yeah. Remember how last year in January of 2022 he was going to dump all that Bitcoin and fuck up the
yeah,
whole Bitcoin world? Remember that?
yeah. I mean,
What happened to that?
I think it's that was the project code name Delusional, right?
He's
I
such a
mean,
fucking piece of shit. I can't. I
we, that's one of the most amazing things to me, being in adulthood, is that just, I mean, God, just the amount of people that just put out pure friggin' lies and nonsense
Yep,
and revel in it. I mean, God, when I was growing up, that behavior was frowned upon, to put it
exactly.
mildly. And but that, I mean, I used to see it all the time. Then when I was in business, you'd see these people exaggerating everything, and I'm not talking about maybe changing a verb in your resume to make it look a little bit more contributory. I'm talking
You
about
mean
just
like a member
outright,
of Congress?
yeah, just exaggerating everything. Or like these bios you see where, yes, and when I was mopping the floors at Stanford was when Condoleezza Rice was the provost, and had a meeting there with the Pope and the Dalai Lama and all this shit. You're like, what are you name dropping all this shit for? You were the janitor, and
Well,
but you see it a lot like that. That exaggeration. I had one person who had in his bio that he created a company with 10,000 employees, and I knew this person's entire career. And I'm like, how do you even get to that level of just bullshit? I mean, it's not like you can't just search the company name, okay?
exactly.
You know, or people that would introduce me people at Miami Beach, retired whatevers. And the first thing I do on a Google search is search them out, and you realize they did like 8 years in jail for mortgage fraud or something like that. And you're like, don't you check people out at all? I
Exactly.
mean, if it's the top line of a Google search, everybody should know it, I would think.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
just see
that's
all
what's
that
amazing
nonsense.
about that guy getting elected, that Republican getting elected to Congress in Long Island,
Santos.
who has now admitted that he completely fabricated like everything. Like,
Yeah, his time at attending college was the first thing he fabricated, or I don't think he showed up, but he said he graduated. I think he said he worked at Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, or equivalent names, Blackstone, somebody, and he never was there.
yeah,
So I mean, how do you have I mean, that almost just seems flat out crazy to me.
it is.
That
It is
you know
flat out
you
crazy.
that you believe it, or
Yep,
you just don't. It's okay to do a lie like that and know you get caught. I mean, I would be embarrassed to no end to be caught
absolutely.
at something like that. And then how do you look at your kids after that shit? I mean,
Yeah.
I just think it's
Well,
insane. Of course, the Republican Ethics Committee said, oh yeah, he lied, but we don't care.
well, actually, there's some
Oh,
discussion
really?
that he may not get seated. I mean, that's up
Oh,
to
good,
Pelosi. So, you know,
good. Oh, it is up to Pelosi still.
I think so. I think it's up to her and to decide
And
ethically whether they seat a member of Congress that completely lied about his background. What I
yeah,
loved is in an interview, he tried to blame it on the mainstream media because he said that he put down that he was in the finance industry, even though he worked as a outsourced customer support technician for some bank. He put down that he was a big financial industry guy because he knew that the press would make fun of him for not having worked a real job in finance.
well, it worked for. I mean, what AOC was a bartender, right? You don't
Yeah,
have to have a real
exactly.
job to run for Congress. I
Exactly.
mean,
Exactly.
that's what I was so stoked about when we talked to Shizzy yesterday. Is that here's a guy
Yeah.
who graduates from high school, gets a job. It's a skilled, high end manufacturing job. Programming what sounded to me to be like kind of automated tool and die type machines to make parts. And then he gets into crypto and learns for 3 or 4 years, and now he knows what he's talking about. I mean,
Exactly.
that's what it's all about, guys. It's not about the pedigrees. It's about what you do with it. And so, you
Yep.
see like whether you like her or love her or hate her or whatever I want to say, you see what she did on that. And, and for this guy like Santos to come out and just make all this shit up, it's the wrong way. That's not the hustle. I mean, that is the hustle, but that's not the gumption that you're supposed to
Yep.
have. The
Yep.
gumption is persevering and staying as close to the reality and the truth as you can. It's not just making shit up.
Yep.
But I hope the
Totally agree.
Republicans
And
toss
look,
them out.
here's the deal. The world is changing. Pedigree is not going to fucking matter anymore.
Mm-mm.
And part of DeFi's role, as far as I'm concerned, is to foster meritocracy, right? And that's exactly what it's all about with Shizzy. It's about people that are building. Is That's the real difference? Is people that actually prove themselves. So.
We got
Shizzy
some
said,
comments
I'm
here.
curious if
Yeah.
Elon has any margin calls against the Tesla price. I know he put stock up as collateral to buy Twitter. No idea, man. That'd be interesting to know.
So if he was shorting it, yeah.
Yeah, Euphoric says Craig Wright's behavior is a complete match to a cocaine addict. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I can see that. Chuck says, oh, this is about Santos. Oh, and he said he was Jewish, not Jewish, because one grandmother was in Auschwitz or some BS. Not that he was a practicing Jew. Yeah, he's not. I mean, the folks on the Jewish registers are saying we don't see any evidence of this guy being fucking Jewish.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just making shit up. It's like, I mean, what would they do? I've been watching streaming Yellowstone a little bit lately, so I'm a little bit more militant today. But yeah,
Aha.
they would just, that guy would not be around any longer just for the sheer bullshit out in
Yep.
frontier justice. Not
Yep.
saying it's right or wrong, but we have to sanitize this shit. It's just crazy.
Hey, this is why we're in it.
Yeah.
The Fed, 96% loss in the value of the dollar so far since the Fed was instituted. I think it was
Yeah.
instituted on Christmas Day, right?
I don't know, but let me just tell you one real quick thing. It's easy to say this, but you have to think that there's, trillions of more dollars in circulation right now. So this is a good example of like, I've been working through some dilution models for friends on their enterprises, and it's the whole thing that you you don't want the biggest piece of the smallest pie. You want a piece of the biggest pie. So when that chart is put up, yeah, the dollar has gone down in value since then. But you have to do two things: compare it to every other currency in the world to see what they did, but then also look at how many dollars have been issued, just like tokens, just like shares. It dilutes the same way. So, yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on the chart, Brad.
Don't. Because, look, at the end of the day, that dilution impacts real world people, right? The dilution
Oh,
of
not
the
really.
dollar normally impacts poor people more than it impacts, well, I shouldn't say more, but
No, not
it
really.
impacts poor people.
If everybody's playing with the same currency, like domestic market, it really won't do that. But overseas, yes, the purchasing power goes down. But again, it's not. This isn't the type of. You have to think. I don't know how many dollars were out in circulation back then. I don't know what would be the definition as an M2, I guess. Now, obviously, there's a lot more. So,
Well, look, I mean, the Fed's tool is inflation, right? I mean, that's the tool.
well, it not that was kind of a recent development, and by recent being 70s. For most of its early history, it wasn't really fighting inflation. It was more about preventing bank runs in the post-depression era, because the banks were all operating into. Now, of course, I'm no expert on this. I'm just hopefully remembering correctly. The banks were all independently operated for the most part, and with no insurance and no backing. And so when 29 came and there were all the bank runs, everybody trying to get their money out of the banks, and the banks rugged everybody, to put it in current terminology. Nobody had any recourse. So that's when the government came in and put the insurance stuff on banks. I guess FDIC would be that, and then organized all the banks into, a hierarchy where there was a central bank, and that is the Fed. So a lot of I don't know how behavior has changed over time, is my point. Where now it is, you're right, it does all the things I said, but yeah, the primary thing is to control inflation and unemployment.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
Sorry,
you and
I'm
I
not
have
trying to
disagreed on
argue with
this.
you, dude. No, we're not disagreeing. We're saying kind of the same thing. But you're right.
Well,
That
I
chart is
disagree that
accurate.
inflation doesn't hurt the little guy.
No, I didn't say that. Just because there's more dollars doesn't mean it's inflation. Okay. Because if there's more people using them, let's say you have a platform and there's only 10 people on it, and 10 tokens going, and all of a sudden now you got a million people on it. You need a million tokens basically for everybody to play. So it's not causing the inflation. The fact is just it's issued more dollars, and that's the I guess erosion of value. Plus, I don't know if I didn't see the chart in detail, but I don't know if they're accounting for inflation either, over time. So there's a lot of stuff to think about here.
Well, look, I mean, the bottom line is yes, the value of the dollar has decreased 96%, and I agree with you that that's also relative um, uh, to how many are out there and that people are playing on the same playing field. But I mean, I'm pretty sure the data says, and I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure the data says that when the dollar loses value, people lose value, especially at an accelerated pace when more money is printed at a rapid pace, like it has been in the last couple of years.
Well, the last
And
couple of years, okay,
and I'm
but that
not. And
chart goes
listen,
back
I'm
to
not.
whenever.
I'm still not sure. I mean, frankly, I think we would have had a lot of people starving to death if we hadn't printed the money, right?
It doesn't
So
matter, dude. We're the layer zero. We're the platform. Print as much as you want. It just doesn't friggin' matter in the U.S. economy. Because the one. Now you can
if it
disagree all
didn't
you
matter,
want.
they wouldn't print it, right?
What? No, if it did matter, they wouldn't print it.
What I'm saying is the reason they print it is to try to to buttress the economy, right? I mean, that was the whole point.
Well, are you talking about like 1929, or are you talking about today?
I'm talking about 2020, 2021.
Well, you had this. I mean, if we're talking about COVID stimulus funding now, you had to print it. What else are you going to
That's what
do?
I said. That's what I just said.
Well, I'm losing your point. But one thing I would say on the chart that was up, I would like to see a line of U.S. GDP at the same time over that same trajectory, because that's the real measurement of market cap. In, say, the sovereign models, it would be GDP, not the actual value of each dollar. So two things missing. How many dollars are there at the beginning of the chart? How many dollars are there now? And what's the curve look like for GDP growth? That would give you a
Niblett
better
says
picture.
exactly. More dollars doesn't mean more inflation. Fed prints another trillion, but if it sits inert in someone's balance sheet, it has no economic effect. But this money, the last printing didn't sit inert; it was spread out to people. So
The stimmy stuff, yeah, yeah. But it's an interesting point, Brad. And I'm not trying to like go head to head with you on this. I'm just saying that there's always another perspective on everything. And I think if you see the GDP number at the same time represented with the number of dollars, it kind of makes that bold statement moot. That's all. But I'm not saying
well,
you're
yeah. I mean,
wrong.
if you're still counting on GDP as the measurement of people's
Economic prosperity, total market
exactly.
cap of a sovereign state. Yeah, I think that's what everybody counts on.
Actually, it's
What?
becoming less and less. So, but I don't want to get into that debate today. We can talk about that
Who's
another
saying
day.
that? Who's saying that?
I'm pulling up the GDP for you,
I
so
mean,
we
I
can
just
look at
talk to
that.
guys. Yeah, sure. I'm talking to the guys I talk to are guys at the ECB, the Fed, the Treasury. They all look at, GDP as an important number. I don't know what Steve Dickhead on fucking your Twitter stream says, but
Well, yeah, you're talking to the deep state. I'm talking to the dickheads, I guess.
right, right. Not really, but I'm exaggerating here. But look, you
You're
can't.
talking to the guys whose entire careers are based on it, and I'm talking to guys who maybe aren't basing their whole careers on it. So,
Well, or people that are in the public service that look at it as a responsibility to keep the economy going, not break it. Yeah, those people. I don't
yeah.
mind criticism, but I just say look, we see this all the time. People present information selectively, and the fact that $1 might have been worth, I mean, look at the pound. You could say this
Here's
thing.
your
Look at the.
GDP chart. Just
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'll take that all day long.
Shizzy said, "Hey, Steve Dickhead is a friend of mine."
Yeah, no, I kind of get into the hyperbole a little bit when I feel the blood pressure going up. But yeah, I don't really mean Steve Dickhead, of course. But look, there's just so many ways to present it. And when you just say one thing, I mean, you could say that people could say it about, I think you could say it about the pound. I think you would probably say it about RMB, the Chinese currency that, has been valued at different levels over time. Now that doesn't float, so it's a slightly different thing. But, just saying the value of the one instrument, like gold or diamond or dollar, and that now it's worth less. You have to present it when accounting for the effects of inflation over time, and then the value of the overall asset. And by that, when I'm talking about Fortune 1, I'm talking about, the US gov, economy, people, all of it. That
Yeah,
has a value.
I think the point about GDP is that it doesn't measure actually anything that really matters to human beings, um, quality of life, health, well-being,
Do you
those
think
kinds
the
of things.
value of $1 does?
Um, well, I think it does matter if it's valued less in order to be able to have healthcare, quality
Yeah,
of
but that
life, enjoy
value is
leisure activities, have time off from work, not have to work, have two parents
irrelevant.
working two jobs each.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
The dollar value only matters when you're trading it for another currency. It doesn't matter in anything else. Okay, so the fact that the value of $1 has gone down is comparative to the other currencies. It's not like an abstract thing. It's what's the value of it. And the value is whatever anybody's willing to pay for it. So I would argue that it's a misleading chart, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I would argue that GDP is not a great measure of human wellness, happiness, and well-being. And
I know,
it's
I know you. I know you probably have studied a lot of economics too, right?
yep, that's it. That's
Good.
it.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look, all you have to look at the health, well-being, education of Americans to understand it. Let's move
No, that
on.
doesn't. That's not. Look, that's a cheap shot because that has nothing to do with the relative value of the dollar from 1924 or whatever to now. That has to do with the lack of education,
No, we're
the
talking
lack
about. I
of.
was talking about GDP, Joe. I
No, but
wasn't
you're
talking
talking
about
about health and quality of people's day-to-day lives.
right. I'm
That
talking
isn't.
about why GDP is not irrelevant as necessarily a great measure of what we should be what we should be measuring as human beings in terms of quality of life.
And you think that
GDP,
the dollar value from 24 to today is a better measure?
no, that's not what I'm saying, Joe.
Well,
I'm
that's the chart
arguing.
you led with. So let's talk about that
Your
chart.
argument against the value of the dollar was that the GDP chart's going up all the
I
time.
didn't have an argument against the value of the dollar. I said that was presented incorrectly. That if you just look at the dollar going down over time, it has no value unless you look at how it works against the other currencies or how GDP is affected. That's it.
My only point is that GDP should not be the sole measure of what we measure the
Who said
well-being of a
that?
society.
Who said that? Nobody said it.
Okay, we'll let that go. Um, so these guys at Thor Thor Technologies got charged for doing an ICO for a $2.6 million unregistered coin offering, with the idea that they were trying to make it seem as if it was a utility token. I don't know the details of all of it, but I think it's just a good thing to warn people that it doesn't matter what you label it or call it. The SEC can still come after you. So you better be careful about what you do, especially if you're a US based um, project. Polygon hit 200 million addresses despite a bad 2022. So excited to see them still growing. And 200 million addresses is a fuck ton of a lot. I don't know what the total number of wallet addresses is on BNB chain. Wallet count BNB chain. Um, is it 400 something million on BNB chain? I bet. Let me check. See if they count that. I think it's 427 million. No, that can't be right. 427 million wallets on BNB chain. I mean, I guess that's possible. I don't know. I can't find it. I'll look for it in a bit. Let's see. All right. This is that chart I was talking about yesterday. Bitcoin versus gold over 13.2 years. Having invested at the beginning, I guess, but showing the price trajectories over that time frame. We were discussing Bitcoin having a better track record. And this is a chart that somebody created for Peter Schiff to look at because he's the big gold guy. DeFi Llama has launched yet another tool. This is a liquidity tool. Allows you to see a liquidity of a particular pair across multiple dexes. Um, and this is an awesome little tool. Dennis Tapina says, not used to listening to you guys in real time, used to hearing you at 2x speed on my podcast walks. Welcome, Dennis. Glad you're watching live. Thanks for joining us. And feel free to join the conversation. Happy Taco Tuesday. I love it. I should be having tacos today. Um, and anyway, so let's see. I don't know if Joe's participating, but
Oh yeah, I am. I'm doing comments.
okay.
I've got another wannabe economist talking. So
Chuck says, look at Saudi Arabia as a prime example of why GDP does not equate to quality of life. Niblet says, places like Saudi has multi-tiered economies, so standard metrics don't quite work the same. Joe says, obviously, Chuck, look at China too. We're talking about USA. Dennis said, not used to. Chuck said, that GDP number doesn't mean anything if it uses the context of other nation states. The point is that it is faulty to assume that citizens share equally in the wealth a nation creates. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So
yeah, I
anyway,
agree with the first sentence.
This tool from DeFi Llama is pretty cool. Allows you to put in a chain and then a pair and check and see what the overall liquidity is across dexes, and they find the best trade liquidity for you so that you can go out and hit that chain for the trade and liquidity. But you can also track it over time. Has charts built into it. It's pretty cool overall. So glad to see DeFi Llama is not taking Christmas off. They are cranking away. And let me see what else I got. If I got anything else, otherwise we can wrap it up. Joe, I'm going to be driving tomorrow. We have Sean on tomorrow, so it may be you and Sean by yourselves if I can't connect up while on the road. So we'll have to see.
That's cool.
All right. Let me see what else I had loaded up though. Make sure there's nothing else of major importance. Oh yeah, Jim Cramer urges the SEC to do a big crypto sweep. Says I wouldn't touch crypto in a million years. So we are most effectively probably at the bottom at this point. If you buy into the fact that Cramer, Cramer, trading against Cramer is your best bet from a
Hey,
trading perspective.
wasn't he saying recently? I mean, literally weeks ago about there being opportunities in crypto.
Oh yeah,
I mean, this
yeah.
guy's like all over the board.
Yeah, but he was
Um,
big. I think he was big FTX guy. What did he apologize for
yeah,
a couple of weeks ago?
I don't remember.
He was crying on. I think he was crying about FTX. I think he was apologizing and crying because he said FTX was great and
Yeah, I remember that when there was after .com, there was this one pretty esteemed venture fund that had lost like 6 million of my clients' money or the fund owner's money, let's say. And these guys were literally crying in the office, begging not to get sued. They just chased every .com down the shitter and doubling down DCA and all the way to nothing. And it's amazing how people will grovel like that at that point
yeah,
to try to not get sued or not badmouthed.
yeah, yeah,
What did
yeah.
we got here? What's Dennis saying? Look at U.S. savings rate tanking lately. Yeah, more and more people are spending that stimmy money. Yeah, saving rates were high in the U.S., but now they're saying, and they're also loading up on credit right now too. So there's potentially more speed bumps coming. And of course, the one thing that nobody wants to think about, the friggin' China COVID shit show that's going on right now. Of course, they just opened up to tourism, and now they're letting everybody fly out of China to go on vacations, and all the travel sites are overwhelmed, and they're getting ready to come out to the rest of the world again after 3 years. Yeah, so that's going to be a
Yeah, it was
shit
Kramer
show.
apologizing for his call on Facebook on Meta.
Yeah, who cares? He's a has been. The one thing I looked at him, I just can't believe how old he's gotten.
Yeah,
Um,
well, he's been milking people for a long time.
yeah.
He's been shilling. He's been shilling his
Yeah.
holdings for a long time.
Well, I saw a movie yesterday, Babylon, and it was pretty interesting because it was a transition from like silent pictures to audio in pictures and how that industry transitioned. Then
Right?
it's pretty cool. So I look at like a Kramer and I say same thing. He was important in like the as a follow up to the Heard on the Street scandal, where he was the guy who made the calls at lunchtime. Because everybody
Right?
went to an office to work. Nobody had devices. Nobody had computers. It was all still coming through TV at that point.
Right?
And so he'd put his tips out there at lunchtime, and then everybody who was watching would go by. And there was a Kramer effect because the herd was piling in. And, the Ponzi was in play, as we might call it in crypto.
Yep.
Um, and then, they would all sell on the other side of it. Well, the fact that he's been able to extend that and not get disrupted out, um, as an analog to the concept in the movie, is pretty amazing to me because he
Yeah.
doesn't really say anything. He's got his shtick. Because then he turned into the booyah guy or whatever. And it was all the props and banging Howard Stern like shit, to make
Yep.
stock picks.
Yep.
But he's just stuck around.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because the older folks are used to him who were watching
I think they
CNBC
still
all the
watch
time.
him and they still trust him.
Yeah, but he
Sadly.
doesn't. He can't make calls anymore because he's not getting the intel before everybody else.
Yeah.
So that like data stream isn't really of value. But good for
No,
him
I don't
for
think he.
sticking around.
I mean, I'm sure he gets some insider shit, but I don't think. I look. I think at the end of the day, he's got a big enough fan base that they keep him around. So whoever it is, I think you're right. It's probably the older folks who still think he knows what he's talking about. It's astounding to me, but they're not on Twitter seeing the fact that he's wrong about everything he says.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. They're not on Twitter. Good point.
They all kind of
Um,
watch their portfolio of Kramer buys and think, well, it'll come around again, I'm sure.
yeah, Jim said it was going to turn around. Jim said,
Yeah,
it's like
Jim
it's
said,
amazing how
don't worry about it.
people personalize stuff they see on TV or politicians or wait, I was
Yep.
reading, one thing we didn't talk about. I saw a bunch of stuff in Twitter feed this morning about a bunch of SEC indictments at Hex. Richard Hart and everything has been dragged in for interviews. Have
Oh
any of you
no, you're
heard
kidding.
anything
I
about
missed
that?
that.
Yeah, I
No,
saw it
what
in
the
one
fuck?
feed. Yeah, I didn't really follow up on it. I saw it and I was like, oh well, surprise, not. Um, but I don't know if it's true or not. If anybody,
It
Richard
says
Hart.
US SEC may take steep measures against Hex. Per reports from individuals with knowledge of the matter, the SEC wants to look into the origin of Hex and subsequent developments in Pulse Chain and PulseX. It is amid rumors that Richard Hart, the founder, received a whopping $1 billion from users in 2021. In September 2018, Hex launched its pre-sale, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, look, I mean, if there was ever one to go after, it's that motherfucker and his. Look, when you're posting shit like that and you constantly like do everything you can to snub your nose in terms of giving financial advice and basically just stealing from your followers to get them into shit that's just bullshit. Eventually, they're going to come for you because you're high profile. And that's
Yeah,
all Gensler's about, right? He wants these high-profile takedowns because it gives him more credence as being the guy who's keeping everybody safe.
yeah, true. But also, this is an easy one for him
Yeah,
because it
so
just
easy.
fits. There's nothing there.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I was thinking, a good thing of it, Brad, will be that now you'll be the only one wearing LV onesies around town.
I'll be the only one. What?
Wearing LV onesies around town because I was calling it his body glove. That outfit he wears, and I realized it's not a body glove because I was looking at some kids and I remembered it's a onesie.
It's a onesie.
Yeah, I wonder if it has feet in it.
Oh,
Like if
dude,
it's a foot fun.
he,
Trade
I
rack,
can't.
man.
I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, but that was pretty surprising because I've heard about all the influencer stuff. I mean, there's supposedly a big task force going through just
I'm
every
looking to see if
influencer
he's
right now.
responded to it.
I think somebody was saying he already's had a couple interviews,
Nothing
but
I see on here. Nothing I see
but
on here. Well,
but
look, if
I
you're
mean,
taking advice from somebody that dresses like him, and flaunts it the way he does, I, I think you need to kind of examine your
Yeah,
analysis.
Niblets has it right. Yeah, it's those kind. That's what I'm thinking.
What do you say?
It's up
Little rubber cleats
Little
on the bottom
rubber.
of the feet so he
cleats on
doesn't
the
slip
bottom
on
of
the
the feet.
hardwood.
Yeah, yeah, that's like kid. Remember, kids would always wear those, running around. It was like pajamas or something like that. And it had
Yeah,
not so much in Miami. They don't really have the feet in Miami because it's not that cold.
right.
Some
You're talking
did, but
about
up north,
the little feeties. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they don't really do a lot of that in Miami. I noticed, but yeah, no, I figure, hey, then you'll be your chance to shine, buddy.
That will be. I will
Get
definitely take up
Richard
the
Hart,
lead from him.
Vanguard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can take over his account after he goes to prison.
Hey, something else I noticed too was that I mean, I've been watching. You guys probably been watching Erewhon or Swift Chain got on a shitter. But I saw some. I get these emails with like, I guess from my LinkedIn feed of like, potential things I would be interested in. And Swift Chain actually was hiring people in Miami. And then I found
Really?
out they're actually the layer 0 1 sort of with Cosmos somehow. And I guess they're headquartered in the US somewhere.
Holy
So
shit.
a lot of these are actually in the U.S. that I was kind of surprised about because they're just getting gashed everywhere. So you could expect anything like that, to be getting looked at hard in
Oh,
2023.
dude. I just I don't know, man. I don't understand like headquartering here and and being obvious about it and hiring locally and I don't know. Call me crazy, but um
No, I mean, if you got anything you're not disclosing or filing SEC paperwork and you're in the U.S. and if you're doing anything with money, I mean, again, you're just asking for it.
you're just
Uh,
asking for trouble and I don't understand. I really have a hard time understanding why anyone would be doing that. I mean, it's not like it takes, rocket science to figure this fucking shit out. It, it's like, I mean, why make it obvious? You may have team members or founders that, that are US based, but why make yourself a target? Why make it easy? I don't get it.
Yeah, adopt your model. I mean, look, there's other ones that are doing stuff in the U.S., but they're doing the tokens the right way. So
Yeah.
they're not creating raise issues. I'm not
I
sure
have this
exactly
outfit
what
at
that
home.
is. Well, that's you.
I have this one at home. I have this
Wow.
outfit.
The
You
hat
can't
sure makes it
see,
look smart.
unfortunately, the picture doesn't show that he also has leggings on all the way down.
Yeah, I
You
don't know,
can't see
man.
the leggings, unfortunately. That all, down to the but he does publish how much his outfits cost.
Yeah, he has all those vanity license plates too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you could. I'm not the big vanity plate guy, but I mean, you might want to go for it.
Oh, yeah,
So
because I'm a fashionista, dude.
yeah, I
You
know.
want
Oh, nice
you know
flannel,
what the
by the
cost
way.
of my fit? Cost of my total fit on me right now is probably $35. I do
Well,
not spend money on clothes.
cashmere sweater, about 15 years old.
Yeah.
T-shirt, Nordstrom Rack, I think $6.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I've got a pair of like lounging pants on. That I think I
Yep.
paid $8 at Nordstrom Rack for.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And I don't
you
even
just get
buy my own clothes half the time. And they
your
know
wife
better
makes
than to
them.
pay expensive prices.
Your wife makes them.
Exactly. So they're right over
Yeah,
there right now on the
the loom.
spinning spinning the thread.
What was that?
Shut
What
up.
was
Get to work.
that? No food, no gruel for you today.
Bring me a beer.
Give me a beer, damn it. Yeah, when you hear the bottle hit the wall, that means I want another one.
All right. On this
All right,
sloppy ass
buddy.
note, let's roll out.
Well, I just wanted to
I
make it more fun because I didn't want you to think I was picking on you.
I don't give a shit. Dennis, Niblets, Chuck, Shizzy, Euphoric. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you being here. Love and appreciate all of you. Dennis, thank you for joining us today, man. We'd love to see you every day, but we also know that a lot of folks can't listen live in the middle of the day. But we appreciate you being here. We we're We love having the commentary. So if you're listening in the car and you're free on lunch any noon Eastern any day, feel free to join us, man. We love the conversation. We have a great time with everybody that joins us, and people that are a lot smarter than me. So appreciate everybody being here. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for participating. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you have a couple of minutes. It doesn't take long. And hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Click the little bell to get alerted, and click that thumbs up if you're watching right now on YouTube, so that we get a little boost in the algorithm and more people see us and find out about us. So, Joe, been spending
Hey.
the last few days looking at some growth marketing stuff around media and shows. So, going to work on a few
Cool.
things. Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, yeah, we've talked about that offline too, but yeah, I kind of yeah, metrics.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, no, and I know you told me that you and your buddies were going to go up on that rafting trip up in North Georgia later on. I just wanted to tell you to be careful out there, because it gets a little crazy out in the country. All
Sweet!
right, buddy.
Squeal like a pig.
Yeah, have fun
Yeah.
at that, man. Tell us how it will go.
I left my camo sweatsuit at home, so I
But you
can't
got
go.
your bow and arrows or your crossbow, right?
Yeah, you're just not allowed to go out in public in Georgia in the cold when you don't have your camo.
Yeah, that's true. But anyhow, you'll have fun either way.
Bad.
Stay out of trouble, man. When you're driving back
Absolutely.
tomorrow? You're driving
We
back
are
tomorrow?
going to drive back tomorrow. Going to stay over in Orlando, back fully on Friday. So I'll send sweet. I'll thanks, Dennis. You need to start tuning in
Yeah, you gotta
regularly,
stick
dude.
around.
You get it.
It sounds
You
like
got
he
to be
is
around,
listening.
buddy.
It sounds like he is listening.
We need you here. We need you here.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, back Friday. So I'm going to try to tune in on tomorrow. Sean, if you're listening, I'll send you the link.
You're
Was that a
welcome.
Deliverance reference again? Thanks for the nightmares. Yes, it was, Niblets. And if I was at home, I'd be queuing up the sound effect right now. But anyway, oh wait a minute,
Yeah.
don't I have it loaded? Hold on.
Hold
On. I think I had it.
There's that one set where they're doing the dueling banjos thing at that one point when that Appalachian,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought I had it, but I guess I don't. Bummer. All right. Over
Yeah,
and out, Joe.
run to the light, Niblets. Run to the light.
Have a good one.
See you later, man. Drive
See ya.
safe tomorrow.